You know, it's strange. Some people can walk into a messy room and feel nothing, while others feel an almost immediate sense of discomfort, like something is deeply wrong. It's not just about cleanliness, it's not even about preference. It's something much deeper, something psychological. We tend to think that people who hate mess are simply organized, disciplined, or maybe even a little obsessive. But that explanation barely scratches the surface, because the truth is, the way someone reacts to disorder often reveals how they experience control, uncertainty, and even their own thoughts. Picture this. You walk into a room where everything is scattered: clothes on the chair, papers on the floor, objects out of place. For some, it's just a room. But for others, it feels overwhelming. Their mind doesn't just see the mess, it starts reacting to it. Now imagine the opposite. A clean, perfectly arranged space. Everything has a place. Everything is a place. Everything is predictable. For someone who hates mess, this isn't just visually pleasing. It's mentally calming, and this is where things get interesting. Psychologically, our external environment often mirrors our internal state. People who strongly dislike mess are often more sensitive to cognitive overload. In simple terms, clutter in the environment can translate into clutter in the mind. When things are disorganized outside, it becomes harder for them to feel organized inside. But here's the deeper layer most people don't realize. For many, the dislike of mess is tied to a need for control. Life is unpredictable. Emotions can be messy. Relationships can be chaotic. But the physical environment, that's something they can control. So they do. Think about it. When everything is in order, it creates a sense of stability. A sense that at least one part of life makes sense. And this isn't just theory. Research in environmental psychology has shown that cluttered spaces can increase stress levels and reduce focus. Studies suggest that visual chaos competes for attention, making it harder for the brain to process information efficiently. But here's where it gets a little more complex. Not everyone who hates mess is trying to control their environment in the same way. For some, it's about identity. Being organized becomes part of who they are. It signals discipline, reliability, and self-respect. For others, it goes even deeper into childhood. Imagine growing up in an environment where things felt unstable. Maybe routines were inconsistent. Maybe the surroundings were chaotic. Over time, the brain learns to associate disorder with discomfort. So later in life, order becomes more than a preference. It becomes a psychological need. And this is where things get strange. The same behavior-hating mess can come from completely different psychological roots. For one person, it's about clarity. For another, it's about anxiety. For someone else, it's about identity or past experiences. But here's the interesting part. People who hate mess often aren't just reacting to what's in front of them. They're responding to what that mess represents. Unfinished tasks, lack of control, mental noise, even uncertainty about the future. A messy room isn't just a messy room. It becomes a symbol. And once you see it that way, everything changes. Because it's no longer about being clean or neat. It's about how the mind creates meaning from the environment. It's about how we use the physical world to regulate our internal one. So the next time you see someone who can't stand disorder, don't just assume they're overly particular. You might be looking at someone who's trying to create calm in a world that often feels anything but. And maybe the real question isn't why they hate mess, but what kind of order they're trying to build inside themselves. If this made you see things a little differently, consider subscribing.